This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded February 25th, 2013. Episode 134, Google's Ground Gurgitation.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
What's up, Chris?
Not much, Dave. What's new with you in Aussie land?
Aussie land? Well, I've got to get off my ass and shoot some more video again today.
Oh, yeah? Anything big coming up?
I just tweeted that I'm going to shoot for 3 today. I had an idea that I'll shoot 3, and it's like, it's probably not going to happen. But
yeah, shoot high.
But if you don't set a goal, right?
Exactly. You'll never fail.
Never get there. That's it.
What's the Homer Simpson quote? Remember, kids, you tried and you failed. Remember, kids, the lesson here is never try.
No! I love Homer.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Can't believe they're still on. Right. All these years.
Yeah,
almost
I know.
as old as I am.
25 years or something?
Yeah, it's something ridiculous. Yep.
Unbelievable. And it's still funny.
Yeah.
No? Don't think so? Anyway.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't follow it much anymore.
Who has time?
But still.
Who has time? Really?
No, exactly.
I'm too busy.
We're busy guys, right? We've got too many things to do.
I'm in my basement cutting foam all the time.
Right. Yeah. Well, I heard you're so busy that you're not going to do the Engineering Commons anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. We're doing one more episode with a guest we had pre-scheduled, but, yep, that's over. We got some... yeah, it's too bad. But they're trying to find... Actually, if people are listeners for that, and listen to this too, we are looking for a new me. So Jeff was going to keep going with the show, but...
Right.
Searching for co-hosts. So if people are interested, let me know. Shoot me an email, chris@theamphour.com.
Now, that's a good offer because it's not often that you get to, jump in onto an already established podcast.
That's true.
You see? So if you want to be rich and famous like us,
yes,
now's your opportunity.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sitting on my throne of cash here. I don't know about you, but...
Well, I just kind of stack up the $100 stacks of bills, and
I find that the hundreds are a bit firmer than the 50s, So
I agree.
Yeah, and I actually prefer that firmer feel on my butt, with the $100 bills.
It's the back support that really helps, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's that lower back support. Oh boy, I'm going to have to hire that dude. Who's the dude who does those chairs? Those fancy office chairs.
Oh, Herman Miller.
There's a
the
Herman Miller. Yes,
yeah, that's the Aeron chair.
Miller to custom design us a throne of cash chair that's individually tailored to
Just so lucrative being a podcaster.
Oh boy, nah, come on, we must have some real stuff to talk about today.
Not really. No. No.
Okay.
Just the usual waffle, I think, as you say.
Waffle?
Yeah. So here's an interesting piece of news, though. So Google, they, they're kind of big, right? We've heard of Google before.
I've vaguely heard of them.
Yeah. So they have offices out in Silicon Valley where there was a lot of companies throughout the years. But basically, actually, so... First time I was out there, I was hanging out with Mr. Jeff Kaiser, and he was driving me around, and he was showing me where a lot of the old buildings were, National Semiconductor, and old, like Fairchild buildings and stuff like that.
Which has a plaque out the front.
Which has a plaque, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those, plaque, as you say in the US.
Yeah, I just didn't grok it.
Yeah, it has, it's one of the Silicon Valley historical monuments, landmarks. I don't know who owns the building now, somebody else, but it's sort of heritage listed, and you can't touch it. And it's got the plaque out the front.
Yeah, plaque.
Plaque.
Anyways, there used to be all these fabs out there, right? And if people don't know, fabs are disgusting. I mean, especially old fabs, like the ones that the way they used to do it. So I actually, I used to work in a fab, and I talked to some of the guys that were like longtime veterans, but you talk to them about like some of this like etching equipment, because I worked in etch. And it's like a plasma. It's like a high energy gaseous mixture that you then it eats wafers. That's effectively what it does.
Right.
If you're interested, look it up. It's some cool stuff when you get down into it. But these days they're like vacuum chambers, and you have to have like really high vacuum to get all these good geometries and everything. We didn't have to previously. They used to be open air, effectively. Like you could actually.
When I was a boy.
Exactly. Like some of I think it was the Ashers that like some of those they were just like open. And these guys would tell me about it and be like, you just didn't get too close, and
I had it up to my armpits, I had my arms in there, no gloves, I was just mixing it around, and
yeah.
I used to work in a similar thing in the seismic industry, manufacturing these huge 150 metre long cables, and they had oil in them. You had to. They weren't filled with oil. The older ones were filled with oil. Our ones were environmentally friendly, in quote marks. But we still used cable oil to like squeeze the things through, because you had to squeeze all of this stuff through 150 metres of very tight fitting.
Like a small space, basically, like the small opening for the cable.
A tube. So you had a 150 metre long tube, and you had to force all of this stuff through, and it expanded the PVC and everything, and and
that's cool. But nasty, huh?
Yeah, but then we had these huge tanks, and isopar would fly everywhere, which is the trademark name for this oil which we used, isopar. It would fly everywhere and get in the gear and everything. So, we had to have special oil-resistant boots and, everything else, because you'd just be walking in bloody, oil up and down the factory. It was, and all the benches were covered in oil.
Oof.
So you went out there to try and fix something with your multimeter, and you put your multimeter down, it's sitting in bloody a pool of oil. And not Texas crude black oil.
But
I'm
still
talking,
grimy, right? And then it picks up all the other stuff.
Yeah, it's man.
Oh, and and you don't think about it at the time, right? Most of the time, it's just like you shrug it off. It's like, oh, well, I got some, some alcohol on my hand.
It's a job,
brush it off, or you just get it done.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Oh, this stinks. What does that smell? Oh, I don't know. It's like some kind of caustic chemical. But and you have to, like, a lot of people have to probably do safety training and MSDS sheets. I think are those worldwide? I'm not sure.
Yeah, yes,
they are. Okay,
yes, they are.
I didn't know if that was
that's a big deal here.
Yeah. So like a
MSDS,
lot of people.
for those who don't know, it's a material safety data sheet. Every chemical, every substance must have an associated MSDS sheet with it.
Right. And then like the bottles all have to have that label on them, like that little diamond label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that sort of jazz.
Yeah, and so you got to go through training.
And it's not just grunts like us either out on the floor. Like, back in the early days of this seismic program, we would have the managing director out there with his sleeves rolled up, trying to massage these things by hand, right? Covered in bloody cable oil.
Did people wear ties,
because
or
you had to
that
get
like
the job done?
Was that like the exception? Because if you're on the floor, you don't have to wear a tie.
Oh, right, yeah, no, you would definitely take it off. Yeah. No, nobody wore ties in our business.
Well,
no,
yes,
and
I mean, sometimes.
So you'd get all these PhD people out there, you'd get managing directors, you'd get the finance director, and they'd all be out there massaging these bloody cables, doing the grunt work, because, well, you just had to get it done.
Because it's Australia, mate.
It's Australia. That's right.
Yeah, that's cool, man. But yeah, so basically, and I'm sure that our listeners have similar stories of grossness and stuff they've been, probably somewhat dangerous stuff to be exposed to. Even lead, right? I mean, like, lead is a serious thing to be exposed to. If you're breathing solder smoke all day, that's a bad thing.
Well, that's a myth. It's the rosin that is, it's not like you're inhaling lead fumes.
No, but
so
should you be
you're
inhaling
the rosin
fumes? I mean, that's pretty nasty too.
Rosin's pretty nasty shit as well.
Right,
exactly.
Right.
But yeah. Exactly. If you're like, soldering and you got all, lead all over your hands, and then you go and eat your lunch and you don't wash your hands and stuff like, and you do that for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's it can be a problem.
Yeah.
So
this roundabout way of saying it, though, is basically, these old fabs didn't have a lot of protections. They didn't have good disposal procedures. And so basically there's not big chunks. There's sites in Silicon Valley that are brownfields. I mean, I think they're even, some of them are like
brownfields?
Brownfield being like chemical sites, basically.
Oh,
and
right.
some of them even reaching like the Superfund status, and Superfund being like an actual government-sponsored cleanup of that site because it's so
to clean up these contaminated sites. Yep.
Right. Okay. Exactly. And so basically, I mean, it's really valuable land though. So of course people are going to do it. Well, Google apparently built on top of something.
Right. Okay.
And they've been finding
this is
stuff.
Where the story's going. All right.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, so basically, it's kind of a reality of Silicon Valley that it's just been a really rough area for that. But they're taking steps for it and everything like that. But I just thought it was interesting because, like it kind of is this example of, software is this, obviously this huge industry now there, but it's all built on top of the hardware stuff, right? I mean, and the chemical remnants of it, it's
So you wouldn't want to be growing apples there anymore, huh?
No, probably not. Right. Probably
Silicon Valley
would be a bad idea. But
right.
Interesting historical note. Did you know that the EPA was started because Cleveland?
Oh, really?
Yeah, when the river set on fire the second time, that's when they're like...
At least we're not Detroit.
When the Cuyahoga River, second time it went up, they said, maybe we should have
It went up?
Oh, it lit on fire twice.
It went up in flames. Okay, this is the old flaming river trick. Yeah.
Yes, which is also a delicious beer in Cleveland, by the way. Burning River IPA.
Good stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what spawned the EPA, or at least contributed to it. So,
there you go,
Cleveland! Yay!
The most polluted state.
No,
it's not the most populous state.
We're doing better these days.
Right.
At least we're not Detroit. I always feel bad because every time we sing that, right, someone from Detroit calls us up and like, come on, guys, they send us an email.
Come on, this joke's getting old. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Sorry, no, it doesn't. It's still funny every time I sing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just go to YouTube and type it in and watch it just for kicks.
Nice.
Well, speaking of which,
go ahead.
A fellow video blogger is going to Cleveland. Did we talk about this the other week?
No, we didn't.
Martin Lawton.
Yeah.
Martin Lawton's video blog. It's an excellent blog. He's very prolific. If you haven't watched it, and he's based in South Africa, but that's where he's been doing the blog from. But he's moving to Cleveland.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I
Good
wrote
luck,
to him.
Martin.
I hope to meet up with him and get to know him. He's going to be all over the States, I think. But yeah, they're officially moving back here.
Right.
So.
Yeah, they're based in because his wife's getting a job there or something.
Yeah.
And apparently it's not his first time there. He has lived there before. So.
And he's coming back. See, that's a good vote. That's a good vote of confidence, man.
All right.
And I've been seeing all these articles about Cleveland, like, and more jobs. I'm just saying, you could come work here and get a cheap house.
I'm going to say you can get 10 houses for $1,000, can't you? for the price of a VCR.
Whatever, man. There's some nice areas in Cleveland.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to get an award someday as being an ambassador for Cleveland. I think putting up with Aussie abuse.
Right. Cleveland's favorite son, Chris Gamble. They'll drag him out in a wheelchair at each Thanksgiving Day parade, right?
Yep, exactly. This is what turned it all around, folks.
Stuff.
Not the people actually on the ground doing social good and redevelopment. It's one nerd online talking to an Australian.
Oh, terrific. Anyway, Martin, good luck.
Yeah.
Have fun in Cleveland.
I'm looking forward to
the
him
next
showing
month
up.
or two. I think he's going to rock up.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, speaking of cities and old technology, there's actually it's not new, but it is it's kind of the person the public broadcasting station reposted it basically because of that Silicon Valley documentary we mentioned a couple weeks ago. There was actually there was an entire story about tech kind of showing the entire history of Tektronix and just how it helped build up the technology, the silicon, what do they call it, the silicon forest or whatever, and just like kind of the history of it and all the technology that rolled out of there. And really, it's interesting.
It goes for 30 minutes, and I haven't watched it yet because I just saw it before the show. And so I need to watch that and the Silicon Valley doco. How long does that Silicon Valley doco go for?
I think that's a couple hours, I think. I've only watched a little bit of it so far. So
right.
There's different parts. But
sit down and
yeah, this is the kind of thing where
and it's entitled The Spirit of Tech.
Yeah, right. This is where you kind of wish you had like a net-connected TV kind of thing, right? It's like where you could just browse to it easily and pop it on, search for tech, have this pop up. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe in the future.
I'm sure there's such things available, isn't there? If you want to be a vegetable in front of it.
Yeah, we're not like nerds like that, though. We're not gadget nerds.
Sitting in our mother's basement.
Yeah.
Damn it. I'm sitting in my own basement.
That's right.
And my wife tells me what to do, not my mother.
That's right. I haven't listened to my mom since I moved out. Howard!
Oh, boy.
Right? That's we got it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yep.
Did you see in the latest episode you actually caught a glimpse of Howard's mother?
No, I don't watch that show regularly. I don't.
Oh, what?
No.
You don't watch The Big Bang Theory?
No.
Dude.
Nope.
You just lost all credibility.
What? I don't catch it. I don't know. I got stuff to do, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, the Spirit of Tektronix. Shame that they're probably going down the toilet.
Well,
if they don't start bringing out some new products. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, I did see they just released an app to talk to your scope. But, yeah.
Wow, R&D money well spent there, folks.
Yeah. Well, it's no headless oscilloscope. I mean, it is still, that one still has a head, but there is a different one that I forget how I found. I think someone sent this to me, but basically, this is an entirely developed. What's it based on? It's based on the BeagleBone and the Cubby board. I'm not sure how you say that, but basically, it's designed.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's designed entirely to be a headless oscilloscope. And with obviously A to D technology,
it's called a PC-based scope.
yeah, exactly right. But then it just has the wireless stuff tacked on already, and then an interface built for Android already.
It's still a PC-based. Yeah, it's still a PC-based scope. Whoop-de-doo.
No, it's Android. I mean, yeah, I guess it's Android-based.
Yeah, but come on.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter whether you hook it up to a PC or you hook it wireless up to a bloody tablet. Makes no difference. Same shit, different smell.
Okay. It's
niche uses.
Yeah, I think so. I think
people think I'm against PC-based scopes. I'm not. I've developed 3 of them myself. Thank you very much. Okay, developed and published a couple of them myself. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I had huge success with PC-based scopes.
What do you have? We'll have to put links into that. I've never seen those.
Yeah, there's links to my old published back in 90.
Alternate
3, I think it was published. I did it originally back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah?
Back in the late 80s. And then I got it published in 93. And it was massively popular. PC-based scope.
I will have to look that up.
Sold thousands of them.
Wait, you actually sold them?
Well, I sold the software for it. Somebody else sold the hardware.
Oh.
And, somebody else sold the kit. And I sold the software for it. And I sold many, many thousands of these things.
What kind of bandwidth?
Oh, audio.
Oh,
type
gotcha.
shit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that's the crazy thing. I mean, it was
pretty good back then.
No,
right?
I'm sure. Nothing against that, really. But I was just going to say that, like, these days, I mean, like 100 megasample per second scope or chips these days, right? I mean, yes, there's a whole lot more that you need in front of that, right? You need high bandwidth front ends, and you need to have a solid front end in front of that, and then you need to have all the software and syncing and everything. But still,
and the triggering and
right, exactly. But I mean, like they're just cheap, right? I mean, like compared to 10 years ago, right? I mean, like, it's just
of course
the fact that you can build these kind of things is crazy. Like this was an entire business. This was the only business 10, 20 years ago, right? 100 mega samples was where it was at. Maybe not 10 years ago, maybe more than that, but
Oh, yeah, 15 or something. But yeah, that was like, that was state of the art back then.
Yeah.
And my original design, my original Mark 1 unit, there were three there were Mark 1, Mark 2, and Mark 3. And the Mark 1 unit I designed back in the 80s, the purpose of that was to use off-the-shelf parts, right? And none of this programmable rubbish, because you couldn't get programmable chips back then, right?
Right.
It just wasn't happening. There were no, the microcontroller market as we know it today, the entry level for that was so huge back then that nobody was doing that. So my PC-based scope was, it hooked up to the parallel port of the PC.
Nice.
And it did all of the sampling, pre and post trigger in, and all the stuff in discrete hardware.
Nice.
Using as fewer chips as possible, in the spirit of the was, and it was massively popular. But yeah, its performance was shit, It used pots, as the front end, to adjust your vertical gain, none of this, stepped attenuator.
Right.
Bullshit, just hook a pot on there and, but
that'll hold.
It was, but it was massively popular. And I think it was quite novel. I think the architecture I used in it was actually quite neat. And anyway, yeah, but now you just, you wouldn't even bother building it up today. It's a joke, right? But hey, back in the late 80s, it was a big deal.
Yeah. Well, that's why you are publishing magazines, right? That's why.
Yes. Yeah. That was one of my most successful projects.
What mag was that in?
That was in Electronics Australia back in 1993, I think. So 20 years ago this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but back when I published it, it was an old design.
Right,
it was
right.
I've got this old design. Oh, I think I'll publish that. And bang.
Yeah. Well, you've been putting another magazine recently, huh?
Along with you. You're the star. I mean, I just have to, I am not worthy. I am not worthy of your entry in Circuit Seller's 25th anniversary edition.
Right. So yes, me and Dave, we're both in it in various capacities. We both obviously knew we were going to be in it because we were interviewed by email for it. But
yep.
And honestly, there are some good longer interviews in there. But Dave, you're probably like the 20th to last page, right? Something like that.
I don't know, something like that. And I get a couple of column inches. Yeah. I get a. Yep.
Yeah. I had one line, and I was on the last page. I was looking through it. I honestly flipped through the whole thing because I knew it was in there, right? And then they sent me a nice copy, and I'm like, "Oh, this is great!" And I'm flipping through it. I'm like, "They lied to me. They left me out. They just left me out." And then I get to the last page, and I'm like, "No way."
This is embarrassing. They should have just left me out.
No,
right?
It was still nice of them to put me in there. I appreciate that. Right. It was just one of those things that you're just like, what the hell? It means I have a long way to go, Dave. I have to work my way up in pages, and
right.
Yeah, if people get their hands on it, though.
Your goal is column inches, right?
That's right, yeah. Instead of...
Next year, it's a goal of mine to get 6 column inches.
That's right. You need to have smart goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, whatever. Yeah.
And you know what the thing with... when they ask you to do an interview for something like this, they send you a list of questions, but they don't actually tell you...
Context.
They don't give you any background on it. They don't give you any context at all. Yeah. And so the questions, when you get them, you go, these are stupid questions, and you go, how is this going to work? What the hell are they asking this for? And so, but it kind of works in the end, because they had a theme for the Q&A section that I was in, for example, and it made more sense when I actually read the thing. But when you actually get the questions just out of the blue, you think, what the hell?
Yep.
Yeah, I've been interviewed for a few of these things now, and they're all very similar. None of them give you the context.
Yeah.
And interesting thing, that was the same with Carl von Moller's doco, right?
Oh, yeah. Still out?
Haven't talked about for
still
ages.
Not out?
It's still not out. Come on, Carl. I know you're listening.
You can do it, Carl. We believe in you, Carl.
It's only been 2 or 3 years.
Oh,
give him a break.
Yeah.
He's got a day job.
Yeah.
And, he did the same thing. He said, can I interview you for a doco? And I said, oh, yeah, fine. And so he came around, but I had no idea what it was about or, So, but I think if I knew that, I would have given better, answers to his questions because I didn't know
Right.
Because, there could have been many answers to the question. So he gave me no prep at all. The questions were, I didn't get the questions beforehand. He just turned on the camera and asked me the questions. And, so instantly I've got to start thinking, well, there's multiple answers here. What direction does he want me to take? And it's like, so some of my answers just turned out really stupid when I now go back and look at, a first draft of the, like the doco promo, the promo for the doco. I go, that's what he's. Mm-hmm. That's the whole idea and gist of it. No, my answers were stupid, and yeah. So. I don't know. But, I mean, I can see where he's coming from because he said if I had the questions beforehand, then I would have had rehearsed responses and it wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, no one wants to see that in a documentary, right? I mean, you want to catch people a little off guard. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, some context would have helped. And it's the same thing with all the interviews I've done. I don't think I've had context for any of them. So,
yeah. Well, speaking of interviews, there was Clayton Christensen. Do you know who that is?
No idea.
No, he's the guy that wrote the Innovator's Dilemma, which is this really,
one of these books which you love, right?
Oh, I love this book. It's a good book. Honestly, it scares me a little because I like it so much. It feels like, oh, does this mean I want an MBA or something? It's like one of those books.
I need
the ones
to devote my life to this.
Yeah, exactly. And because
and if only I followed every page, I'd be rich and famous.
No, I don't think like that. But it's just it's just a very often cited management book. But I was reading this interview with him, and then it started getting into when he first wrote it, which was only 16 years ago, right? He starts talking about Intel though, and this is a story that I didn't know. Basically, he was Clayton Christensen was. Working on this book, and he had this thesis that he was working on for, I think it was PhD thesis, and basically Andy Grove somehow heard about it, the CEO of Intel, or soon to be former, is that right? Is he retiring? Was he the one that? No,
it could be.
He already retired, and then Odolini is retiring as well. Right. Yeah, but Andy Grove's awesome, right? We've quoted him on here before. He's just brilliant mind. But basically, the idea is that smaller innovations basically come up and end up killing the father innovation, right? Or the example that he uses is like hard drives, and that flash ends up coming in and really hurting the hard drive industry, although that wasn't totally true.
Still not happening today.
Right. But there's a bunch
signs of it, but there's been signs of it for 20 years, right?
Right.
It's just
Well, he also gave examples though within the hard drive business, right? So like the 2.5-inch Platin guys thought that the 1.8-inch Platin would never go, right? So they just kept making the 2.5, and then eventually it just kind of keeps eating itself, right? And basically, so Intel looked at this, right? And Clayton comes in and says, it's going to be a low cost competitor that comes in and kills you if you don't do something about it. And basically, so they went back and they looked at their business and ended up making the Celeron processor. That's the reason. Clayton Christensen is indirectly the reason that Intel made...
Well, there you go.
And it was because they knew Cyrix and AMD was coming up behind them, and these small upstarts, and basically they said... Well, because we've seen this happen before in like test equipment, we've seen this in electronics, right? Companies end up wanting to move to higher and higher levels of... expensive stuff, right? So they don't want to sell you the transistors. Oh, good.
Same in the CAD market. Altium, for example.
Exactly.
Being slaughtered in the low end.
Exactly. Right? You see it everywhere. And it's because, they want to do more with less. They want to, it's just taught this way, right? I mean, I talk about the MBA playbook. This guy is basically explaining it, right? That's a lot of, when I talk about that stuff, it's based on me reading Clayton Christensen stuff. And actually, this new book that he ended this whole interview is about is actually about that. It's called The Capitalist Dilemma. Anyways, I'm geeking out here already. But basically, you see it everywhere. And Intel finally, someone said, "Oh, okay, well, we'll just fix it." And they made this lower cost, super high volume. Right? No one wants to say that. Oh, we'll make tons of stuff. Right? People want to make less stuff for higher cost. or higher margin. They don't want to make more stuff at lower margin, but they did, and they ended up. Well, we know what AMD's doing. I don't even know who the hell Cyrix is. So,
no, God, they're gone the way of the dodo.
Yeah, I
haven't heard that name for 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, basically, but it was really interesting. I mean, like, and you see it everywhere, right? I'm sure that listeners could give us, 100 examples at their own companies, right? You see it, and hell, like, look at China, right? China is they embody this idea. They come in at the low end. Right, or car makers, Kia, the Korean car maker, right? Hyundai, all of these, they come at the low end. Honda, for God's sake, right? They come in at the low end, and they sell enough stuff. They get the brand in people's eyes, right? They increase their quality, and then they move up in the value chain. I mean, I know that you could say that. Well, what else are you going to do, right? But man, you got to watch out for those little guys. They're going to kill you. I mean, like,
yep,
it's crazy. It's crazy, Dave.
I know. Okay. Don't have to sell me on it.
Oh.
It's happening everywhere I look.
Yeah. And when I say, like, the NBA playbook, it's usually because people are ignoring that stuff, right? They're saying, well, no, we need to focus on this or that, and we can't spend money on research or...
hello, Tektronix.
We can't chase this market or that market.
Boy. Yeah, no, companies think that they have to change. They think they have to keep changing, innovating, like moving on to different markets, abandoning old ones and stuff like that. But there is something to be said for the company that owns a market and sticks with it and just innovates within their space.
Yeah.
For example.
So, yeah, exactly. And that's actually another, that's something Matt Richardson posted today on Twitter. It was this thing called the Helsinki bus station theory. I was talking to you about that before the show. What did you think it was?
Yeah, I thought it had something to do with the Helsinki syndrome, but no, apparently not.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The hostage thing, right?
Yeah, right.
Where you start to become enamored with your captors.
Yes, yeah. You start to empathize with your captor.
Yeah. But basically, this one it's kind of in that same idea, right? It's talking about creative people, right? The bus station theory is with creative people. It's like, you how does it go? So you're at a bus station and you get on a bus, and after like a couple miles, all the buses diverge in different directions. And if you're trying to always be original, you'll end up seeing that right before the buses diverge, and you'll end up running back to the station, getting on a different bus. And basically, to paraphrase, they say, what do they say? And the key is, it's simple. Stay on the bus. Stay on the friggin' bus.
Exactly.
But basically, yeah, it's like, if you want to get really good at something and kind of find your, end up iterating on ideas and actually be original, you have to stay in one area, which is counterintuitive, right? I mean, like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, it is. And a lot of companies don't do that.
Right.
They think, we're going to fail unless we innovate into other areas where, no, well, you can succeed and be number one. What's wrong with being number one in the world in your niche little area?
Right.
Nothing. I'd rather be number one in the world than, number 20 in 10 different areas.
Yeah, right.
Screw that.
Well, I think the answer is money, but that's a different podcast. But I think this one's interesting from they talk about it from originality too, right? I mean, I've fallen into that trap where I'm like, I just want to create like an original circuit. So I'm going to do everything from scratch. I'm going to, simulate everything. It's like, dude, come on. No, that's stupid. Sometimes it's about putting something known in there and then iterating on that, or, from a system level design of integrating other stuff, right? I mean, there is no absolutely original, right? You're not going to start from square one, invent new transistors.
Well, that's a startup dilemma, isn't it? Is worrying about the startup, like as in startup companies, right?
Yeah.
People worry so much about choosing the right bus to hop on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, well, you're just wasting your time worrying about what bus. Hop on a bus and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
And stay on it until you get to the end and see where it takes you.
Yeah, well, sometimes you can. I mean, that's kind of the lean startup idea thing, is where it's like, you try and fail fast so that you can get on a different bus. But I think the key there is to try a lot of stuff too. I mean, like you can try a lot of stuff at the beginning versus trying a lot, 4 years down the road, right? That's when you really don't want to try a lot of different stuff. I don't know. Maybe we're saying different things here, but
yeah. Well, there's so many. There's no one size fits all here.
No, definitely not.
Hardly ever is. There's no one rule which, there's no one rule to rule them all.
No.
So to speak. So,
Yeah.
But, yeah, if you're just chopping and changing buses all the time, you never finish anything. Like us, of course. We're always, we just get bored sitting on the bus sometimes.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you want to try different things,
look at
right?
that bus over there. Look. Yeah. Wow, that one looks exciting. I'm going to stop the bus. I'm going to hop on that one.
Yeah. Well, speaking of creativity and Intel, actually, they're actually having a business competition. I'm not sure how much of this is tech versus actually like the business side of things, but like if it's going to be like business plans and all that other crap. But if people, it's only for Europe. So if you don't hear that a lot from, usually it's like only in the States, right? But it's only for Europe. So if people are interested, it's intelchallenge.eu. And
anyone, what is it? Anyone can be part of this or what?
You have to like apply and stuff, but
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
it's some program or something, is it? They put you in and they fit you into a suit, a nice fitting suit, and they
and then they fly
tell you how to
the
run
States
a business.
too,
Is that
right? That's the other thing.
Right.
it's a European contest, and then they fly you to the States.
Right.
Yeah, classic. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting.
Speaking
maybe they'd want to do it.
Speaking of European, really interesting video which you posted here. I'm going to get the pronunciation wrong.
Oh, I didn't.
Koenigsegg.
I didn't post this one.
Koenigsegg.
But,
Oh no, somebody else. Sorry, Spikey posted it, or Spike. Yeah, Spike EE posted this one. Koenigsegg or Koenigsegg, as I think it's Koenigsegg.
Really?
Is the pronunciation? Well, I think that's the UK pronunciation.
It's like the secret way to say it.
Yeah, I think the N is pronounced as an L in some places. Anyway, Koenigsegg, they make that high performance car, right?
Yeah.
You've probably seen it on Top Gear, right? It's the one where it's so fast the Stig actually crashed it, right? And then they put a spoiler on the back of it, and it was the top of the Top Gear times. It was the fastest car on the Top Gear test track.
Yeah.
Anyway, very cool, high performance sports cars, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's this interesting doco where they're talking to, is it the owner? I don't know. He does a lot of talking, but they've also got the head of the hardware and software division as well, and they're talking about the all of the hardware and the software that they're using to design, and they do it all in-house. And, they design their own boards and they do everything else, and they write their own CAD software. It's like, what the?
Yeah. Yeah, that's got to be a cultural thing, right? Where it's like, well, we got to keep it secret, or I don't get that. I don't know.
And the funny thing was, in the video, they keep talking about, if we only had time to do stuff. We're always out of time to do stuff. Right?
Well, we're writing our email program
all that time
today.
Writing your own CAD software?
Yeah. We're out in the fields growing our lunch later in the day.
Yeah, well, we don't have time for anything.
Yeah.
Don't have time for making cars.
Yeah.
Because we're too busy, ploughing our corn.
Yep.
Anyway, I mean, awesome, right? Go and watch this video. It's only like 8 minutes or something. And it's great. I love it how he talks about, I don't do any of this auto routing rubbish. None of this, I've got to hand route all these boards, because they perform better. Great.
I mean, that's true, but probably not for the reasons he's saying, right?
No, it's just, auto routing doesn't work, right?
Right,
it's a pain
exactly.
in the ass.
Come on.
Just one of the, he's one of those purists who take his boards seriously. And,
is that a purist, though? Do people really... we might have to do a survey here, Dave. Like, who uses an auto router? Do you use an auto router ever? I have never used an auto router.
Yes.
Really?
I have.
Ugh.
Yeah, and I've explained, there are some niche places where you can use, like, you do all the placement, right, by hand, and then if you've got, like, a digital board and you've got to connect 10 freaking million digital interconnects, and the frequency doesn't matter, right, the signal integrity doesn't matter a rat's ass, and they're all over the shop, then you're just going to go, You're going to set it up and you're going to go auto route. And I want to auto route that section, right? I'll never auto route a whole board, right? It just doesn't work. It's stupid, right? But no, there are many uses for selective auto routing. So people think I'm anti-auto routing. Well,
I am.
Yeah, I am for beginners and for people who think you can do it. Just magically does the entire board for you, right?
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Or auto placement. Ugh.
Right?
Ugh.
Auto placements. Yeah, exactly.
Good Lord.
But there are times and places where auto routing is useful.
Yeah.
You may not have seen it in the analog side of things, but trust me, in the digital side of things,
maybe. Yeah, that's the thing. Story. I've always had guys that do the digital side for me. It's like, okay, it'll just give me it back when it's done, you know?
There you go.
Give me a couple of stub signals I hook up to.
Yep. And it's kind of different all these days, with the system-on-chip integration and stuff like that, right? So often a design these days is just all these little modular blocks joining into one big, huge chip or a couple of big, huge processor or FPGA chips or something like that, right? So it's like auto router is pointless because you've only got, so many blocks. But hey, back in the day, right, auto routing was all the rage back when you had all those DIP, right? A processor digital board. I've done a video on this. We're like tearing down some 80s vintage gear. It'll have hundreds of 7.4 series TTL logic all lined up in a row, right? Try and route that by hand. I've done those, and they're a pain in the ass.
Well, right? I can't say I've ever been around for the 7.4 series stuff, Dave. So
there you go.
Especially not DIP.
So, it's different these days, but there are still selective uses for auto routers, definitely.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yep. But, yes, I do share your general aversion, yes. And,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's just fascinating how they were talking in this cool exec in this car company were talking passionately about their hardware and their software. I think he said they spend 25% of their R&D time just developing the hardware and software for the car.
You got to figure that's going to be increasing too. I mean, we see that everywhere, right? I mean, It's interesting from I had this question on the list from a couple weeks ago, but I really like the. I was talking to some people that kind of cover Cleveland and Detroit and stuff, and I was talking to one of the higher guys that came to talk to me, and he was talking about all the different sensors that are going in cars now, and it just sounds like that's
hundreds of them.
It's going to be a playground. Yeah. Like I think if electronics,
it's not going to be. It already is. I mean, your average car you go by, your general car you go by, and your thing has hundreds of sensors in it.
Yeah, no, you're right. But what I was trying to get at was there's going to be so many more. He said something like 12 cameras per car is going to be average because of just right. I mean, like that's a ton, and then like the vision stuff, and then radar for collision detection, all of the stuff that eventually will get us towards like a self-driving car like Google's talking about.
Yep.
I mean, that takes a lot of hardware, but that's a lot of cool
and that's
problems.
on top of already the massively complex standard car that you buy these days.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like a low end
with hundreds of different nodes hanging off these CAN buses, right? Hundreds of nodes.
Was it Lin bus? Is that the other one that?
Are these Lin used in cars? I'm not sure, but CAN is the main one.
I thought CAN was the main one, and Lin was the secondary. But
possibly.
It's cool. I mean, it's going to be really. I think it's really, really cool. And so I don't know. Like because I started thinking about it. Right. So say you have two self-driving cars on a road. Right. Right now, the only way that one car talks to another is basically a turn signal or a horn. Right. But you could just as easily have
or a finger.
Or a finger, right? A well-placed finger. Not as effective as other signals, but
I think it's very effective.
It's more
I think
self-effective.
It really gets the point across.
Yeah, not much changes though. Maybe you'll get a finger in return. The one finger salute. But I started thinking about like communication protocols, right? You could have like a communication protocol in like a RF frequency that is only cars, right? And then have them talk to one another and actually correlate movements and stuff like that. There's just a lot. What? There's interesting problems there. I think.
Oh yeah, there's interesting problems for solutions that don't exist. They're interesting solutions for problems that don't exist.
Not yet.
How about people just drive their freaking car?
No way, man. I'm all about it. I cannot wait until I get in a car and read a book or something.
You can't wait until you hop in that Johnny cab, right?
Exactly. I'll be soldering in the back of that thing, man. I'll just on my way to work, getting some work done. That'll be great.
All right. Oh man. Nah.
Yeah.
What's that iRobot? Is it iRobot the movie?
Yes.
Where Will Smith, he's like, like it's the future, and they've got self-driving cars, and and
then he's got the old one.
All he wants is to drive the car himself, and he wants a pair of Air Jordan sneakers, right? Just regular shoes, right? Really old school stuff.
Yep.
It's just
Well, that'll be what it's coming. People are gonna value that stuff more. I think it'll be like the hipsters of the future,
Right. The other interesting thing about the Koenigsegg video, I keep saying Koenigsegg with an L. Sorry,
I thought you said it's pronounced like that.
I think it is, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure some Swedish person will come and yell at you. Is it Swedish? That must be Swedish or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yep. Anyway, one of the interesting things I was talking about in there is that how, because they're a small team, right? They're not a huge, big automotive company. Their cars perform better because the same guy who worked on the firmware for the drivetrain is also working on the firmware for the analog braking system. So he intuitively, and he's out there driving the car as well.
Yeah.
Right? He's out there test driving it. So he knows, look, if I just tweak this in the analog braking system, and then, that's going to have a flow-on effect to, the differential drive or something like that.
Yeah.
Controller, he can just go and do it. Rather, at these big automotive companies, right? They have to hold 20 meetings and write the specs and hold 20 meetings and get focus groups and tiger teams and, like...
The tiger team, I've never heard of that.
Oh, you haven't heard of tiger teams?
No.
Oh, that was all the rage in late 80s, early 90s, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
A tiger team when you've got a problem and you get a bunch of smart people. The tiger team. To focus on the problem and get it solved, It was the latest wank word in the 90s. That
sounds fun. Yeah, that really sounds fun.
And there's a whole bunch of these, terms for, efficient management of projects when you're seeing some huge conglomerate with, 10 million people working on one project.
Yeah.
Yeah, it never works. And anyway, that's why they're saying that's why their cars perform better, because they're designed better because they're...
Yeah, I've been on teams like that before, but, that works really well until one person decides to leave the team, and then it's screwed.
Or one person's not very good at it, and you think they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You've put all your trust in that guy, and that guy's actually really shit, right? And the product that comes out of the end is shit. But, that's the double-edged sword of the small or single person.
Right. There's no redundancy.
Design team, right? It can either be fantastically perfect because that person doesn't have to worry about what anyone else has to say and is just going to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If they're good at what they do. Or it can completely fail because it's had no input from anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the code I write, and I can understand what I write, but other people wouldn't want to look at it. And if I had to work with them, if I had to hand over this code that I'm writing, obviously I would. That's the thing. Like, there's that kind of that electronics peer pressure, right? Of, well, dude, I can't work with this. Just clean up your shit. I can't do anything with this. And until you do,
that reminds me of
Go ahead.
That reminds me of a recent Dilbert cartoon, like in the just the last week. I'll have to put it up, where about software code review, when a new person comes onto the job and they actually review the code. So we'll have to link in that. We'll have to link in that one. So it's terrific.
Yeah, design reviews.
I love Dilbert.
Design reviews. Code reviews, just...
It's called code mocking. Here you go. You come into the code mocking. The what? Code mocking is an engineering tradition. It happens whenever a software project is handed to a new engineer. The new engineer is required to mock the previous engineer's work in a public way. We spectators get to vote on whether the old code is killed or spared.
Like Roman times with thumbs up, thumbs down kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, man, that'd be great.
That's great.
I think if you had that going, right, you'd be like, oh, well, maybe I won't use the auto router. Maybe I won't, maybe I won't not comment my code, right?
Exactly. Oh, but yeah, it's terrific.
Yeah, that's great.
So there you go. Anyway, watch this video.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of code and snark, Dave Vandenbout, who runs, I think it's Zess, or I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's an FPGA company. They make like dev boards and stuff. He just added a new chapter. I had never heard of this book before, but he just added a new chapter to his book called FPGAs? Now what? And I knew you would like this, Dave, because the first chapter starts with, where is it?
Writing tutorials sucks donkeys.
Yeah, that's the one. So if that's not an indicator of what you're in for, yeah, it's good though. I like it. I really do like it. It's a fun book, and it's good because getting in FPGAs is usually pretty tough too. So I like the snarky writing.
I want to do some videos on it. I plan to. I've got a couple of FPGA dev boards that are sitting in the office, and I do want to do some stuff on those. But yeah, as he says, writing tutorials does suck donkeys, as he calls it. It's not an easy thing to do.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. People say that all the time. Oh, why don't I do in-depth tutorials on this, and this? Well, yeah, okay. Try do one yourself and see how much work's involved,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not easy. You really need to be motivated to, do something like that.
And he talks about it too, because you need so much context, right? You need to actually talk about, especially in FPGAs, right, where there's these huge tool chains. And
example apps. And then you need a cool example app to, you can't just flash a LED. No one wants to see that, right? People want to see a scrolling LED display or something.
Yeah, and at the same time, you also have to start from square one, right? You have to do the hello world. You have to do the Blinky, right?
Uh-huh.
That part sucks too, just as much. If you're experienced like you and he are, it's just, it's just you can't really capture the whole spectrum of it.
No, I've done a video on FPGA, just some basics, and it was like an hour long or something, just some basics of, like powering the thing up and actually choosing the right pins or something, and that was just scratching the surface. Yeah. I mean, whew. There's so much involved.
Yep. It's tough.
That's why anyone who says FPGAs is easy is bullshitting themselves.
No, they're just saying that they've been doing it for a while.
Because they've been doing it for a while and they've learnt all the stuff and they haven't realised how long it's taken them to actually learn all the ins and outs.
Right. Yeah, teaching
FPGAs is one of those things where you have to work backwards. You've got to take an existing working design. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked this on the forum, I think, the other day. Yeah. How's the best way to learn FPGAs? Well, take an existing working design, plonk that in your design, and get it working. And then, once you've got it working, then go back and figure out how and why it all worked. Yeah. Don't try and do it from bottom up and try and figure. Do it from top down.
Well, I liked a lot of the FPGA companies now. They have these like system builders. I know at least Xilinx and Altera have them. I think Microsemi might have them too, which is formerly Actel. But it's just like these integrators, right? And eventually you're going to have to dig down in there, right? You're going to, one signal won't talk to another signal. You'll have to write some,
because
converter
you've got
module.
the wrong pin configuration setting or something.
Yeah, so you're going to have to dig in eventually. But at the same time, you could set up like a. You could set up a small micro in there if you really wanted to, but I think that kind of defeats the purpose. But you can do these things that handle all the Ethernet or whatever you want to do there, and then also do your little bit where you're flipping the bit or blinking the LED. So yeah, I like those for learning too, even though they are pretty complex to start with.
Yep. Anyway, this looks very good.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Speaking of complex. One thing is getting a little less complex. Did you hear about the news of the? I know it doesn't matter as much there, but the U.S. patent system.
Yeah, like care factor.
I know 0 for you, right?
Yep.
It matters for me though.
All right. Okay.
Looking out for number one here.
Tell us about it.
Yeah,
how have they fixed in quote marks the patent system?
Nothing has been fixed. Please.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Here's what I like about it. Okay, so the news is the patent system in the U.S. is switching over to first to file, right?
What does that mean?
So first to file means if you're going to patent something, Dave, you've created a widget, for some reason you're patenting it in the U.S., and you want to actually file for that patent, you no longer have to prove that it was designed on February 25th, 2013. You just have to be the person that puts in the first application for it. Previously, what happened is if two people put in an application on February 25th, you have to, or even if one person put in an application a year later, right? So I put it in February 25th, 2014. You put it in the 2013. The burden is then on you to prove that you invented it first as well. I think it's burdens on both of us, basically. But now, the new rule is starting March 16th in the U.S., it's just the first person who files it gets it. Assuming that you actually can prove the patent is valid. But
well, that makes sense, because that's how it works in the science industry. The peer-reviewed science industry.
Yeah.
Right? It's whoever actually sends their paper, you physically have to send paper, in the mail, who actually sends the paper to the journal first, and it gets, and it's date stamped by the post office, that's the date.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares if you actually, it's first to publish.
My sister-in-law is
that's the difference between getting a Nobel Prize and not.
Yeah, my sister-in-law is she was doing a PhD, and she got scooped actually about halfway through her. So
really?
she was doing research, and then she got scooped by someone else. They're like, we already have all this. We're you got to start over, basically, and she had to.
Oh, really? They wouldn't let her finish the PhD.
Well, she could, but then with PhDs are weird though, right? So PhDs are very specific. You're so drilled down.
Yeah.
We talked about the bus earlier, right? That's taking the bus to the end of the line. You're taking that over the line. You're going home with the driver. You're having dinner with his family. That's PhDs are crazy. But it's just so specific, and so if someone else has something that's that specific, then you can't publish that. You have to be different for a thesis. At least how I understand it. I'm never doing one. So.
Well, you've got to be significantly different. Yeah, the whole idea of PhD is doing original, in quote marks, research.
Yeah,
right.
And you do that by drilling down.
That's what you're judged on.
Yeah,
and but usually. That's pretty rare for that to happen. Usually you can go, oh, okay, somebody's beat me to it. Look, I can spin off my project in this little way, and it's now different, and I'll still give you your PhD.
Yeah.
So I don't hear very often that they're going, oh, sorry, you got to start again.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough. Wow.
Well, it wasn't start again, but it was move back a bit. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. It was not fun.
Oh dear. Anyway, I think so. That's law now, is it?
Yeah,
First
yeah.
to
So
file.
what that means, though, is that so people have been in a lab before, working with, in sensitive situations. Previously, you had to keep a lab notebook, right? You had to have
a journal.
Is that what they were called? I always just called them notebooks.
Well, a lab journal or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
and you have to date every page.
Yeah, and you get signed off on any kind of patentable invention. You need to have that specifically signed off on. That's gone. I mean, effectively, you could still do it, and I'm sure they're still going to require that for places that are, that's ingrained in the culture and they want very good documentation. But effectively, that's gone now. You could write it up on a napkin, submit the patent, and. I mean, hell, technically you could go steal that notebook from someone else and go file the patent, and it still goes. But I think there'd probably be some kind of ways to prove that. But
no, you would still get the patent. They can sue you in other ways, but you'd still get the patent.
Theft and all that other crap.
Patent office doesn't care where it came from.
Truer words were never said.
or even if it works.
Yeah, right.
I don't give a shit, right?
No. Oh man, yeah. There was these. Did you see all this? I think it was Steve Hofer. He had patent Valentine's Day cards. I know it's kind of a couple weeks past Valentine's Day now.
Yep.
Yeah, they were fun. I
retweeted. I'm sorry. Speaking of this, I retweeted. I don't know who it came from, but a physicist proposed to his physicist girlfriend by way of a paper, by way of a research paper.
Really? Was this on
and
Valentine's
it's really
Day
good.
too?
I'll have to link it in.
Yeah, all right, cool.
And it was like, and his paper was entitled "The Interaction of Two Bodies" or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was, and it's good. So we'll have to link that in.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned it on here before, but my it's a friend of a friend, so obviously you have to take this with a grain of salt. But basically, he was really frustrated with the peer review system. I think I might have mentioned on here before, but basically he did this long paper, and he ended up proving Ohm's law by the end of the paper, and that was like the last line, and therefore V equals IR.
Right. And was it published?
I think it was published. That was why it was so ridiculous, because it still got published.
All right. Okay. Yep. Well, that reminds me of the auto paper generator we've probably talked about here before. You can go online. There's this website. These two guys, these computer science guys, thought they will publish any shit, right? So what we'll do is we'll actually write a program to auto-generate a computer science paper.
Yeah.
Right, with just all bullshit words and bullshit graphs and everything like that, and they actually got it published. They got it submitted. Well, they got it submitted to a tech conference or something.
Yeah,
It was actually accepted as at the tech conference, and it was auto generated with complete bullshit.
Wow.
And they just So it's great. So you can go online and get a different auto generated paper. You just hit a button and bang, up comes your paper filled with bullshit.
Yep.
It's great.
That's awesome.
I love it. Oh, boy. Academia.
Yep. Well,
any last-minute stuff?
Yeah, I was just looking through the list to see if there's any last couple things. So we did mention Valentine's Day. Obviously, we're past the mark, but Jack Gansel, previous guest of the Amp Hour, he wrote to me to mention his article, and at first I was reading it, and I'm like, oh wow, Jack did a review on what he wrote. He called it a personal astable multi-vibrator. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, you must be like making fun of it or something like that. I'm reading it, and I missed the picture on the first page. And, and if you look at the picture on the first page, it
is what you think, folks.
Yeah, it is what you think. It's for Valentine's Day. He did a teardown of a vibrator, and it's very tongue in cheek, but it's pretty funny.
It's great. I love it. Yeah. Well done, Jack.
Yes. The guy's still got it. He's a funny dude.
And well, there's a bunch of stuff left on here, but does anyone care?
No, not really. What kind of?
No one cares about Foxconn.
What kind of board you doing right now? How's the power supply? Is that going good?
The power supply board is actually. I'm getting the boards due in a couple of days. I've already sent it away.
Nice.
The parts are coming in from DigiKey. They'll be coming in the next day or so, and hopefully, at the end of this week, I'll be building up another prototype.
Very nice. Very nice.
But I mean, because I don't know if we've discussed it before, but I sort of think I made a bit of a mistake by publishing, as I went.
Yeah.
By actually documenting, and I ended up with 12 or 13 videos in this power supply design series, and it's gotten nowhere. Right after 12 or 13 freaking videos,
I think we might have said it last week or 2 weeks ago. But you need a manager. That's what we decided. Yeah. You need a manager.
Well, I actually finally got off my ass and went, I'll just get another board assembled and build it up, and we'll because you can't do anything without that real prototype in your hands. Otherwise, you're just sitting there having a wank. Really.
Exactly.
If you just,
Well, that happened to me. I got my board in. These are work prototypes, but
this is work. Yeah.
And I thought I'd been staring at the schematic on and off for a couple months, and I got in, and you immediately find like 10 errors, and I'm like, what the hell happened here? It's just because you're staring at it so long. You just have I was just staring at it the wrong. I mean, I just missed stuff.
You can't see the forest for the trees.
Exactly.
You cannot review your own work.
Exactly.
I don't know anyone who can review their own work. Well, some people are better at it than others, but
yeah. Well, and I think a lot of that's just catching errors that you've had in the past, right? Stuff you're looking for, right? And if you're not looking for it,
yep.
Of course, that looks right-ish. Of course, that diode should be backwards. Why not? Yeah, of course. You definitely want current to go that direction.
Oh boy.
Yeah, happens to the best of us and the worst of us.
And I'm sure there'll be faults on this one, but it should at least, hopefully. You know, I mean, I'm far enough down the chain, but I've changed a lot. I've changed a fair bit on it, and I don't know. There's going to be something wrong with it. I just know that for a fact. But Well, I know I'm not going to find it unless I actually build it up. So,
right. And that's
sorry,
the key.
folks. Don't expect a video until it's actually built up and at least tested. Even if there's a fault on it, I'll probably still make a video and go, well, here it is. It's close, Yeah. And my next revision of the board will fix that little issue or something. But
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, man. I wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Can't wait to hear about it. Next week on the show, we will actually have Mike Harrison from Mike's Electric Stuff. So,
cool.
We'll have a page up at Reddit and hopefully on the site to get your questions in
about all his LED stuff and things like that.
Yeah,
because he's into big LED arrays.
Yeah,
and, big LED displays and all that sort of jazz. So
yes, very big. All right, cool. We'll talk to you then.
See ya.